Okay, so with that being said, first of all, let me thank everybody for coming along and spending your quality time here. I'm really, really grateful, as Aziza is indeed, to have you here. Um, we've all got better things to do, but the fact is, I really believe that creating a community of people who are there for each other is probably the most important thing that you could do at any given time, and certainly now. Um, I think the last couple of years, one of the things that's been really fascinating has been the fact that we've all been obsessed with influencers who earn more money than anybody else because they've got lots of loves and lots of likes and lots of comments. But something that came really interesting of late from Gary Vee, who's probably the biggest influencer certainly in marketing of them all, is the fact that agencies are no longer spending all that money on likes and loves and all the comments and shares that you'd normally judge people's success by, because they're not converting into business. And agencies are being sacked by clients immediately if they run a campaign and they don't get any sales on the back of it. So where the sales going to come from? Creating a community. That community is of like-minded people who are there to help each other. And in a world where there's fake news and fake people and fake bots getting contracts at Hollywood, you really need to know that the people around you are ones that you can know, you can like, you can trust. And if you have an issue, you can turn around to and say, "What do you think?" And you've got a crowdsourced people, group of intelligent people who are there to help you. Okay, so the presentation today is how to monetize your expertise. So for all of us who are grey beard or hiding it really well, um, you've been around for a while. You've done lots of things. You've been in and out lots of different jobs and careers and relationships and so on. And all those things do come together. But what tends to happen is when you've got a business card with your job title on it, even if you're an entrepreneur, it can seem that you are not any more than what people can see right in front of you. And I think that what we need to be doing now is getting our expertise, putting it all together and blending it to put you in a position where what you do is your entire life's career for the people who are interested in the stuff and willing to work with you and buy it from you. I'll explain more as we go along, but if you're with us so far, then that's fantastic. If you've got any questions, by the way, put them into the chat. I will return to the chat later on. So initially, who benefits from this podcast? I cut the list down from about 13 different types of people. If you're a CEO or a founder and you want to position yourself as a leader, then thought leadership is the only game in town for you. Similarly, for entrepreneurs and startups, if you're pitching or looking for investors, or you're launching yourself onto the market and you want people to fast track towards why they should buy from you, work with you, joint venture with you, partner with you, or support you, you need to make sure that they can see you and your bankability is really linked to all that. Consultants, freelancers, coaches, you need to be seen as a top expert in your field. If you're not the top expert, why would people want to connect with you? There are so many coaches, so many consultants, so many freelancers who are out there saying, "I know what to do." Yes, so does ChatGPT, and it's almost free. So you really have to be seen by not only showing that you've done all the learning, but showing you've done the mastery of your art. And I'll put in here as well authors and speakers. I know most of the people in the group are not authors or speakers yet, but when we go on, you'll realize that speaking and communicating are not a million miles away from thinking and typing or sharing or creating a group and you have a very strong message between you. So there's lots of reasons and lots of good things that we will be sharing with you in this presentation to help you understand why this is exactly what you need to be considering. So that being said, let's move on to the next thing. This is what is inside the actual presentation. This is what's inside our membership. So you're already in the thought leaders living room. If you were in the playbook before, then we moved it because we had the playbook around for many years And the new software at Meta means you can't convert your original LinkedIn groups, sorry, your LinkedIn groups, your WhatsApp groups into a community. You have to start one from scratch. So that's why we created the living room. But when you are inside the membership, we've got the think tank, which is where everyone joins us initially to be able to be part of our community. But we've also got breakout rooms, which are all locked at the moment, and people are queuing outside wondering, why won't they let me in? Because it's only for people who are inside the membership. I'll just go through them briefly. Authors and speakers. What's the business model for being able to speak on stage? I'll share a little bit of it with you today, but we're creating Guild. This guild is for authors, people who want to really connect with everybody and want to be able to monetize their ability to speak and communicate. We've got the deal room. In there, people who are pitching, learning to pitch more effectively, investors who are looking to spend money with other people, and also joint ventures, all those things inside the deal room. The inner circle room, which is all about masterminds, allowing us to create a really strong community of people who are like-minded. So you won't be in a mastermind with people who are not connected with you or have no interest in you or helping you. It'll be people who select to be in the same kind of group as you. Corporate and CSR leaders, people who know the importance of being connected. If I can hear you in the background, by the way, please mute your microphone. Appreciated. Thank you very much. So, corporate and CSR, as you can imagine, your ability to lead into the corporate world, and whatever your product, your thoughts, your ideas, your expertise, you can then connect with people who are in that group and do more with them. Then we've got media and creators. We all need to be in that group. If you're creating media, that's on anything in your omni channel. If you don't understand what an omni-channel is, it's anywhere people can find you. It acts like a fishing net. So whether it's your social media, predominantly LinkedIn or Instagram, or some of the other things like TikTok, or maybe you go live streaming, or you've got a YouTube channel, or a podcast, or a live stage, or a set of emails, or even a newsletter, or a WhatsApp group, or people that you just connect with on a regular basis. They are all part of your omni-channel, and they're very important for you to be able to do it right. But what's happening now is AI slop. AI slop is people who are very good at just creating content that gets people's eyeballs on. And that is filling the internet because it's interesting and it's usually badly done, but it's what people are paying attention to. If you're not a creator right now, you're going to find it very difficult to be able to do this in the future. Let me tell you a little bit of a conversation I was listening to the other day with Stephen Bartlett and Daniel Priestley and Alex Hormozy and I can't remember who else was on it. It was a fascinating conversation. Cody Sanchez, that was it. And Daniel Priestley said about content creation that if you're not already creating content, it's like trying to take off at the airport and a fog and mist comes over the airport. It's really hard to rise up through that fog and mist. But if you're already out there and up there and doing things, then you're plain sailing because you're already doing stuff. That's what we're talking about. Somebody's still loud. If you can mute yourself, that'd be great. Thank you. And if you just arrived, then welcome to the presentation. This one will be available for you to watch. So everything that you've missed, you'll get a chance to catch up with later on. And also, we've got coaches and consultants. That's many people here, including mentors and including those who are going to have their own communities too. With all those different groups, we will be adding more as and when they're required. The aim is, at this moment, to have 100 people only at the price that we're offering, which is $97 inside the membership. That price stays for life, $97 per month for life. So when we put it up next time to 197, 297, we're going up to 1,000 people, by the way, in this community because it gives us incredible weight across around the events and around the joint ventures and around Silicon Valley and all the many people who will be interested in what we do, who want to meet you as well. 1,000 people will get the opportunity to be part of that list. Okay, so what does society value more than anything? Put your answers into the chat. I'd love to see what people are putting into the chat here. I probably shouldn't read it, so it's a big mistake to see what people are putting. But what do you think people are going to be valuing about you? Well, the truth is this. It's too late for you to type it. Status. Status is the one currency above everything that really matters. And I'm not sure why this is going so quickly, but clearly it is. So let me go about status a little bit more. So people think it's about money, it's about connections, about who knows you, all these different things. It doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what society you are in, what nationality you're in, going back over thousands of years, your status is the bottom line of what people decide if you have value. And status does change, but it's got some basics which I'll be sharing with you now. If you want to prove your status, these are the areas that you want to be showing them in. Society values, it's very sensitive, this, just like me. Society values your ability to prove your dominance, your success, and your virtue. So your dominance in your industry, your thought leadership to say, I'm really good at doing this. Here's the proof and the evidence. That's why you should work with me. Also, your success. You know, when you're dominant, it means that you do stuff and everybody sees how good you are. That'll be Leon Messi and Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo in football. Right now, the dominating is the best, even now. Success is your ability to prove I've done really well in my career. Elon Musk, like him, don't like him, can't argue with the fact that he is very successful and the money he's made has made him even more successful. It's no accident, by the way, that all the billionaires are buying media platforms. When I talked earlier about media and creating, and we've got a special group to be able to fast track, you've just had David and Larry Ellison buy well, anyway, it wasn't Amazon. It's one of the big media platforms. Everybody's buying them. Why? Because it gives them a voice. And if you've got a voice, then even more than a government of a country, you can dominate what people see and what people choose to watch. And thirdly, virtue. Your ability to say, I stick by my guns, these are my values. So the big hitters from Virtue will be people like Michelle Obama or the Pope or people who stick to their guns, Dalai Lama. And whenever you see what they say, it's always the same thing. And you know that it would really hurt them to lie to you. So they just don't. So what do you have that you can say? Similar thing, show your warmth, show your expertise, and your sincerity. That allows you to win and position yourself as somebody who's really strong that others want to connect to. So, what is building your brand when it all comes together? Well, your brand is what people say about you when you leave the room. It's no accident that we're talking about having rooms that we're getting people into inside the network because it doesn't matter how much you say about yourself. If other people don't agree, you're wasting your time doing what you do. You need to make sure that it is everywhere so they all agree. Now, here's where it becomes horrible. AI, great tool to have, something you don't want to fall out with. For those who are fascinated by AI, and most people have got their fingers in some kind of AI pie, whether it's just using it as a search engine instead of Googling, because Google doesn't have the same answers as this can have, whether you're using Perplexity or you're actually using one of the many creation software things, or even you've created a best friend that you talk to all the time who tells you good stuff about yourself. AI is a real challenge in many ways because the guardrails that you could put on AI to keep it safe and make sure it only grows and enhances our lives and does the stuff it's doing right now has fallen to one side. It's an AI war. It's a race to get as much AI to the end game as possible with China, America, Britain, India, with corporations like Grok with Elon Musk and OpenAI and all the rest of them, Zuckerberg's in the battle, all trying to get to that point. Now, that doesn't bode well. I remember listening to a podcast recently with Stephen Bartlett and a gentleman called Roman who's now connected to me, and he'll probably be joining our group too. Who was saying he was saying that in 2 years, 99% of the jobs that we have in the world will be doable by AI and robots. And you can turn around and say, yeah, but that's not quite true, Dave. What about being a plumber? Yeah, but the robots now are being good enough to be able to turn around and do the plumbing, and AI will have the templates for what kind of sink you're using. So it's a case of watch this space. So what can you do? Well, here's the thing. We have an AI tsunami that's already hit us. Not as much as it's going to, but if you don't ride a wave, then that's what's going to be the end result. Because here's something that came out today. I don't have the sound on it, but you can see the quality. The sound on this, by the way, is exactly the same quality as you'd expect it to be. It's not going to play on this, so I'm going to keep talking you through it. But imagine all the clicks and everything sound exactly perfect. This is not Sam Altman. This is an AI version of Sam Altman. This is him walking around inside this incredible place, all created by AI with a prompt, with a text. These are people riding unicorns on the moon. Now, if you've ever tried Sora, or you've tried to use Mid-Journey, or you've tried to create images, sometimes they're right, sometimes they're not. Well, this is stepping up to a new level. And actors, Hollywood, everybody is worried because if this can be created in a very short amount of time, you can see the level of what is coming and how that's going to affect you and what it is that you do. I had this recently. I was chatting to a client, and we are talking about brainstorming what we could do together. And I shared my video, my promo video, which is this one. You may have seen it before. I've been in business now, in entertainment business for like 5 decades. I've had over 3, 4 thousand paid gigs in my time, and in many countries to over 1 billion people, if you include the rugby sevens, going up to 200 million every time, did it for 20 years and so on. And when I shared this video with the potential clients, she said, "What AI do you use to create this?" She said, "It looks realistic." I said, "It is realistic. This is what I've been doing for many years." She went, "Oh, really?" And I was like, wow. So the AI has actually caught up with me. Which software did you use? Can you imagine that being the conversation? But that's the one that we had. So if the stuff that I've done to position myself as a thought leader can be wiped out by somebody who just has a look at my video and says to AI, copy that, but superimpose me instead of Dave, or copy that, and these are places I want you to have me appearing, then that really messes my game up unless I can prove, which I can, that it wasn't made up, it was real. That's why you need to get this stuff out there. Society's promise is now officially broken. What was the promise? Go to school, work really hard, get your qualifications, get a job, get married, have family, retire on a pension, everybody's happy. I don't know anybody who still expects that to be the thing, but that's the way, that's the world I was brought into. We've got a 15-year-old daughter, Maya, who's incredibly smart, incredibly good at doing what she does, and I don't know what promise to make her about what's going to happen next. And you probably feel exactly the same way if you've got kids, or even if you act like a kid sometimes as well. So you got to say what's proving your worth, and you got to not only share it, but you got to keep adding to it and topping it up. And as soon as people see it, you got to prove that there's something new on the way. That's what thought leadership is truly all about. You can do sales because you provide trust, authority, and credibility. If you don't have those, nobody's going to buy from you. You're just making noise. And when more noise is coming out from AI than anywhere else, and people are actually turning around and saying, yeah, that works for me, who's going to choose you? Who's going to choose you to do their accounts? Who's going to choose you to drive their car or drive your car when it can be done elsewhere, unless you're in a different position? Let me give you a different position. An example of that is if you're getting married and you get all your friends on their phones to do the wedding photography for you, it's going to not work out well. But you hire a wedding photographer because you know that they'll make the effort and they'll do it properly. You spend the money, so you've got to prove that you're the person that they want to spend the money on. Let me give an example. Here's a man who used to be a walrus. Not really, just always wanted to say that. It's a story of the old man and the hammer. You might know this story from before. I don't think that's actually him. He looks more like Casey Jones. If you're my age, you'll know who Casey Jones is. If you don't, Google it. If you use Google or ask GPT, and it'll bring up a picture of somebody who looks just like him, maybe. So the story that I'm sharing with you now, which I'm just about to start now, is about a factory where the machines stopped working. And the experts were trying to fix it, and they couldn't get it to start again. So they said, well, why don't we get that guy who used to be here, the retiree? Why don't we get him back in again and see what he can do? So he shuffles in, this little old guy with a mustache that he almost trips over. And I hate to think that his clothes normally look like that. He's probably sleeping in a shed. But anyway, he comes in and he takes a look around the factory, walks over to one particular unit, takes the top off it, takes a hammer and a chisel and taps on top of a couple of buttons and then puts the lid back on, presses the green button, and the machinery starts up again. Everyone's like, oh my goodness, we lost $20 million making Fabergé eggs in this machine all the way through the weekend, but now we can go back to normal. This is amazing. So the guy is really pleased, the boss is really pleased, and so he says, well, how much is it going to cost us? So he hands over an invoice for $100,000. Of course, the factory owner's just horrified. She's like, what? 100,000? You're only here for a few seconds. You only tapped a couple of stuff. Why am I paying you all that money? And he says, well, very simply, tapping with a hammer was, you're right, it's only $2 worth. But knowing where to tap is worth $99,998. That's thought leadership. That's mastery. That's where you all need to be. Because everyone else is just going to be tapping hammers, hoping it works, or following GPT and following their lead, and sometimes it hallucinates. So therefore, what's the point in this? Well, there's a formula for being paid, and this is it. There's two things that make a difference. One is the effect of the job that you do, and two is how cheaply you can be replaced by somebody else. That's all people pay you for. It's not because of your looks, it's not because of a smile, it's not because you smell nice or you're related. These can help. But it's literally down to this. Think about it, and no disrespect to any waiters or waitresses who may be in the room or in the group right now, but if you go to Starbucks and you sit down or you go in and the waiter recognizes your name and writes it on the coffee cup and saves your favorite seat near the window and you sit down, that's amazing. Of course, you always go back there. They love it. But the fact is, they can be replaced or they can leave with somebody who doesn't do all those things for you, but gets paid the same money. And that person probably needs to leave because they're very good at doing it and not being paid enough. So that mastery means a difference. And of course, why am I telling this to you? Well, very simple, because ultimately, your expertise is worth a fortune. Excuse me. When I started talking today about the importance of leaning into what you do better than anybody else, the whole point is because if you don't lean into it and you don't display it and you don't create content that proves it's you, nobody will believe that you have it and will just move on to the next person. Literally, when we're talking about the importance and the value of it, how are you going to survive the AI tsunami? And no, my hair isn't that long, and goodness knows from today I'm not that thin. But it's really important because it's amongst us right now. And anybody who's deluding themselves saying, oh, we're going to be okay, well, only if you're using it, and only if you know where it's going, and only if you're raising your own game. Anybody who's not doing that and finding their own thought leadership is a thought explorer. And there's no room anymore for also rans. So once again, here's me. It's not really me, far too thin, and I've got shoes. You raise your game, you ride the tsunami, you prove you can do what you're doing at a higher level than you're doing right now. And this is for everybody in the room. Everybody in the room who I know is very good at what you do, but you're also probably invisible, or you're not charging what you need to charge. Very simple thing for most people. And yet yesterday, David Abel and I were on his digital light bulb, and Caroline and Joanne and a few people were in there. And we talked. I got Joanne up on stage, and she's not listening now. She's on her phone. She's ordering room service, so we can say anything we want about it. Oh, she's looking at. But we talked about the fact that if she changed her target market when she talked about sleep and starts working with CEOs who can pay her more, then she'll be positioned more with higher level people. And the same is true for everybody, but they want to know that you are the best if they're going to pay that money. So you need to consider it. Now, this is a system that I use for the Industry Icon program. For those of you who've been on it, like Richard, you'll know and you recognize it. Over a 2-year period, I reckon I can get anybody from the beginning of wondering who I am and what I do to be able to get themselves in that position. So a little check for you, just like when we were talking yesterday on a presentation with David, all about where you are when you take the scorecard. When you take the scorecard, you realize how much is missing in what you need to do. Right now, let me explain very quickly. This is a 6 step roadmap, and this is what's covered in my book on the Thought Leaders Playbook. Number one is awareness, realizing, oh my goodness, things are worrying me. I don't know where I need to be, but I know this isn't enough. And you start making the choices to do something about that. Number two is aspiration, thinking, I can raise my game, but I don't know how to do it. But I'm looking around, there are other people who are very good. Maybe if I go and do my own version of what they do, I can do all right. Then number three is driving. Imagine packing a car with all the stuff you need for your journey, and you put it all together, you put it on your social media, you say, this is me, you declare it, and you head out there. Number four, you realize your positioning is wrong. You're going fast in a direction, but not the right direction where your audience is. So you reposition and start heading towards where they are. Number five is refining. You realize that the car is full of stuff that you don't need. Your audience doesn't need that stuff. There's only 2 or 3 things you offer that people will happily pay best money for, maybe even one thing you do really well. And number six is when you've got all this together, you are an industry icon, you are a thought leader, your name becomes a verb. If somebody talks about doing an Elon Musk and an organization, it means a couple of different things, but it does mean things. Somebody says doing a Trump or doing a Zuckerberg or any of the other people that are really well known for being industry icons, you can pretty much guess what that's going to turn out to be. You have to make your name a verb. People need to know that when they search for you or they find you, they don't have to know you as a household name. And in many ways, you don't really want that because you don't want to be on everyone's radar, just the people who you need to know and need to know you. That's what it's about. So, what are the benefits of being in that position? Well, as you can see straight away, huge benefits. First of all, you create your authority, you get your visibility, multiple income streams. So if something goes down or AI replaces it, you have other ways of making money. You can scale it. So AI can run it, or you can run things yourself, or get a small team. I say a small team. They reckon the world's next billionaire will only have them and AI, not even people working with them. Resilience to guarantee that whatever happens to the market, you can be there. You've got the grit. You make an impact to help other people's lives, and you have the freedom to know that whatever it is you do, you're making it better for everybody, not just yourself, and you're enjoying the ride as you go. Does this make sense to everybody? Put your thumbs up and let me see if it's resonating with people. Fantastic, excellent. I hate to think I was going on so long and everyone's going, yeah, 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 whatever. Say something funny. That's why I'm here. Clearly not that funny. All right. So your expertise also becomes your legacy. And just like this weird drawing, and I'm not responsible for this, it looks like I put a pen in my mouth and head-butted the page. I didn't create this. But anyway, the current state where you are, your expertise is not yet monetized, leads to clarity where you can say, okay, my expertise, I can do something with this. And then once you get over imposter syndrome, and 92% of people have it, when you can have it and master it, that's when it becomes really good. Your confidence allows you to know that you can throw yourself in at the deep end and get on radars and make things happen. Then you use your strategy to be able to make sure your skills are perfect for the client's needs. You work with speakers and become a speaker, so therefore others can really learn from you. And last but not least, you create a legacy. But the legacy is not something that sort of pops up after you die. You live your legacy now. What's the point? I remember Mike Tyson being interviewed when he was going to do that big fight recently, and he's saying, well, what if you get beaten? He said, what happens to your legacy? He said, I don't care about my legacy. I make $20 million. Who cares whether people like me or don't like me after I die? I'd like it now, please. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. So with that, how are you going to use all this to succeed? All this is leading up to your voice, your ability to communicate, your ability to say what you need to say, and having your signature strength. This is what is about. It's about creating your signature project. Who are you? What do you do? For me, it's simple. I create thought leaders. I mentor them to be the best in their industry. That's what I do. If you look at my social media, look at my history, look at my career, it's all been elements that lead in towards coming to a head to be able to do this. just in time for the AI tsunami to lead people to the next stage. That's mine. What about you? You might be a coach yourself or a mentor yourself. You may be creating stuff or you have a special thing that you do. Work out what it is, make it signature, make it about you. So this I haven't shared with many people before. These are the 13 different income streams that I'd recommend to be able to look at to be able to finance yourself for life. Now imagine the signature revenue on the left there is like a big buffet. So you're looking at it and thinking, right, wow, well, I could eat all that, but you wouldn't do that in a buffet. Well, you shouldn't do that in a buffet. You only choose the ones that are related to what you do really well and they interlock with each other to make it work for you. So running paid memberships, which is what we're doing with the membership group in the Thought Leaders Network. Consultancy and disruption. I show people how to raise their game because I do all these, by the way. Monetize podcasts, get sponsors on for creating a podcast. I used to work in radio for many years, ran radio stations. Podcasts are multi-billion-dollar industries. And those who do them, there's ways of making money, but sometimes the money comes from what's called the back end. You're not paid for being able to do the actual podcast or even speaking, but when you've got an audience, somebody will buy from you your services, your products, or your membership. So there's lots of different ways to be able to look at it. Organizing events like this, or live in person, or hybrid. I could be now presenting this to a room full of people with the cameras streaming it around the world for people to see, and it's really effective to be able to do that. Most conferences do that effectively. Mentoring and coaching, you have people who are coming up through you and working their way through your industry. Help them on the way, and they will pay. I know of people who are doing reverse mentoring, who are young people helping old people like me to be able to catch up with what the new technology does, to be able to make sure that you are relevant. If you don't go and get a mentor or a coach and you're doing it on your own, I wish you the best of luck. It's like learning to swim when that tsunami comes. You really want to take that risk? And then you've got the book business model. Everything that I've shared with you is all about talking with you about the Thought Leaders Playbook. That's my book. You've probably seen it before. You may even have bought it and read it. But everything that's in my book is not to sell the book. It's the expertise of the book gives a spine to everything I share in all the other signature revenue elements. So the book allows me to use it for the newsletter. It allows me to use it for communities, for training, as special gifts to people. It allows me to organize events where we do a retreat all about the book. It allows me to drive the podcast by going through certain chapters and saying, today we're going to talk about how to monetize your expertise. That's a chapter in the book. You'll find out tomorrow if you subscribe to our newsletter, and you'll be able to read how this live webinar is translated to a newsletter, which is out at 10 o'clock. You may know that already if you're a subscriber. So the book business model is essential. Everyone who's writing a book and says, oh, I've always had a book in me, well, keep it in you. That sounds wrong. The point is, when you do a book, it should be really part of a business model. And it's the evidence that proves that you're not just making stuff up. Anyone can write a book using AI, but using it to drive your business, that's the smart one. Seminars, retreats, and summits, exactly as they come. And again, the book drives all those things. Online training and courses. This could be a training course. As it happens to be a webinar and a mastermind and a masterclass, it's still semantics. PR, networking, and interviews. The more interviews you have, the more you turn up. And we've got Mark Jarrett in the group, who's one of the biggest and best networkers I've ever seen, who's got this incredible community in almost every single walk of life and business and industry you can think of. Well, every single person in his 5,000 plus community knows Mark Jarrett. Talked about Mark Jarrett. He is a thought leader when it comes to creating groups in WhatsApp. I don't know anybody that does it like him. And then you've got as well your mastermind group, smart people who work together to help each other across the finishing line, fast tracking it, creating content, which can be for a magazine or a newspaper, or it could be a magazine and newspaper, showing my age. Nobody uses magazines or newspapers, granddad. It's all digital. In fact, one of the biggest publishers in Dubai has approached me. They want me to train all their magazines. It's about 24 different magazines, including Harper's Bazaar and Cosmopolitan and many others like that, Entrepreneur. They want me to train all their senior management to be able to do this stuff. Licensing products and systems, having your stuff so you can sell it to somebody else who can then run with it. There's a ton of money in there, and it means you retain your IP and maybe you retain your business model with them. You take a percentage as an investor in their business. Maybe you sell it off. Maybe you let them white label it. There's lots of different ways of doing it. For anybody who knows about McDonald's, McDonald's don't make burgers. I know they make bits of carpet. No, don't make burgers. Their business model is that they're actually the biggest real estate company in the world. They buy all the best properties in every city, in every town, in every train station, in every shopping mall, and they rent it out to a franchisee. That's how they pay for the property. They own them all. So therefore, looking at this, your global reach, your ability to do deals, your influence, your coaching, your inspiration, your speaking live, these numbers are realistic. These numbers are also unlikely to be all done by the same person. You do what you need to do. Some people don't want to be talking on a stage too much. They just want to do deals and connect people. Some people just want to be able to influence. Some want to have a global reach because they've got some great products. Some people don't have any products at all, but what they do is they work on other people's businesses. Sheryl Sandberg is one of the most successful and richest people on the planet, who works with Meta and works with many other organizations, but she's never had her own business. She gets hired and paid as a percentage and incredible money for doing what she does. So those are the things initially to look at with your legacy. And the legacy blueprint is what I will be sharing with everybody in the membership. Every single one of those things has a system that you can start working on right now. So very quickly, the book creation and marketing funnel looks like this. You get your idea, you plan the outline of how it's going to be, your book and how it's going to reach people. You get into the writing process, and yes, you can fast track this with AI as well. Then your publishing strategy. Are you going to self-publish? Is it going to be something that you just share amongst the community? Is it going to go onto Amazon? Is it going to be with a proper book deal? Is it going to be something that you just use and you print on demand? Then you can launch the campaign and use it as an asset from this point forever. One of my dear friends, Dr. Cory Block, is a brilliant coach, one of the best coaches in the UAE. He writes a new book every year. Why does he write a new book every year? Because it keeps him current. He can do a tour of duty and he doesn't charge for his speaking. Why? Because he charges for his coaching. But everyone gets to see him, and the right people turn around and say, we want to work with you. You find a model that works for you. So building a coaching empire, which I know will be relevant for many of the people in this group, you need to have pillars that hold things up. So you can have your house, your castle, your family, your success, and your income, maybe your retirement, built on all these different pillars. So if some of them fall, like during a pandemic when you're doing live sessions and you have people around, you're able to do other things to fill that gap. So the business model is really important. Similarly, the business model here for building a successful media platform, your ability to have a podcast and your social and speaking live and inviting guests on and repurposing other people's content, rehashing your own content, going live, building an audience that likes you, having sponsors that want to support you because they like the way you do your stuff with an audience. All you need is a coffee shop and a couple of cameras, and you can have 8 people creating a mini Oprah Winfrey show. Are you going to get tons of people? You might not need tons of people. You need the people who are interested in financing your success. Similarly here, creating digital products, and of course the sales process that goes with that. There are steps to every single thing. I won't go through and read them all out, but you can see there are blueprints, which I'll be sharing in the membership with everybody there, and we'll be doing specific sessions. So everybody who's inside the membership will get to write their book, or launch their podcast, or speak on stage, or do live events, or create IP that people would want to pay for. All those elements are going to be available to the guys inside the membership, but I won't expect everyone to do all of it. Find the one that leans into who you are and what you enjoy doing naturally. So it doesn't feel like you go to work. It feels like you're having fun every single day. Because the tsunami is here. This is kind of where we are right now. AI is everywhere, just like if the tidal wave had come in and everything was underwater. It's hard to think of. I mean, do you remember recently when I think it was at ChatGPT that went down and all these businesses crashed around the world and flights weren't getting off the ground and all sorts of stuff because everybody relies on these things when we do them with good reason. Well, if you are relying on these things to basically help you grow, I think it was Meta that crashed. Meta took everyone down, but ChatGPT does go down every now and again. But all the people who had Facebook related businesses, even blipping just for a short amount of time, makes a massive difference unless you've got those pillars and unless you don't need those people. Your community are watching you and they contact you and say, what should we do next? And that's why you need to be able to say that and know. So this is my book. You can find it. I'll drop these things into the group so you can see where they are. If you're not in the group, then you should be. These are the kind of things that you can get from the book as you're creating your signature projects. And these are the kind of things that we're sharing inside the membership to get you across the finishing line so you do become unstoppable. And I want everybody to be in that position. These are the groups that we've created. You may already be part of the Thought Leaders Living Room, which is fantastic. Stay in there if you want to stay in there. But it is like a departure lounge at an airport. It is like trying to create something in a corridor. People do stay in there, which is fine. You're very welcome to be there. But the real action happens is when we brainstorm stuff. I do keep the corridor relatively quiet because people do spam. And if you're spamming, here's the thing. The people inside your group, inside the Thought Leaders Living Room, are not your clients. They're there to be able to refine their own stuff. In the group we've got as it is right now, if you take all the different platforms, which is LinkedIn and the WhatsApps we're using, right now we've got about 3,000 plus people in there. We've got over 8 billion potential clients around the world. Don't try and sell to each other. Use the expertise of the brains of the people around to tell you and help you to refine your offer to the rest of the world. That's where the action is. So, with all these things going on, do we have any questions from the room? I'm going to open it up for anybody. If you want to stick your hand up with that, then feel free to do it. I'm going to close this now so we can see where everybody is. Remove my fat face, which is never good to look at for too long. I apologize about that. And does that, if you want to stick your hand up, then we can see there's a little button, should be somewhere that sticks up your hand. I think you choose the color of your hand as well, which is all very PC. Anyone ask any questions, feel free to do so. If not, I'll assume that everyone's going, oh my goodness, this is the best ever. I've never had it so good. Dave, just take my money. I don't know what that, people just clean my hands. Get rid of a sanitizer. That's what I'm trying to say. Any thoughts, any comments on what we shared so far? Everyone's very quiet. Oh, we've got some comments in the chat here. I'll have a look at that. I can see that now. Okay. So, Aziza, good to see you on camera from Joanne. You two get a room. Oh, Joanne's got a room. Caroline, I have to go shortly. Thank you very much for that. Oh, right. So Aziza shared with us the industry icons, icon insider, which is our newsletter. If you haven't gone to that yet, then click on it. All your links we will have available for you, by the way. I'll make sure that if you're inside the living room, I'll share them all with you after this presentation. And when this goes onto YouTube, I'll make sure they're all there as well. Love to talk about podcasting. Stephen, fantastic. I'm taking notes. That's awesome. Salim, chatting yesterday was fantastic. Lily, amazing, taking notes. Not many questions though. Everyone seems to be very happy. Dave, have you got a sleep token? Guys, book a room. Is that why you've got a room already, Trina? You've got clients, you teach them to sleep. None of my business. I'm just observing optics. And he was saying, if I do a job in 30 minutes, it's because I spent 10 years learning how to do that in 30 minutes. And you owe for the years, not the minutes. Exactly. That's Mark Jarrett. Whoever's got their mic on, by the way, if you don't mind muting it for now, we'll get you to chat in a second. That's great. Stephen says hi, Joanne, which is again so many people outside. Don't you hear him knocking on the door, Joanne? Anyway, make sure you turn the camera down when you arrive.
I got a
And
question, Dave.
okay, go ahead. We're gonna get Salim on after you as well. Okay, go on, David.
There was a slide, it looked like a roller coaster.
Yep.
They're like 1 to 24 months, sort of was the time. What do people find the hardest bit? I think I find myself probably somewhere in the middle there. Um,
Well, let's ask a question on exactly that. If I put this front and center and everybody has a look, where would you say you are? Just put it into the chat. Put your numbers down on where you believe you are with this particular slide. Let's just have a look, see what people are putting. Just put down a number so I can see. Be honest. So, I'm trying to look through. Has anybody started typing yet? Yes, no, yes, no.
yeah,
Oh, here we go. We're starting to get them coming through. I'll go much better. Right. Okay. We've got Stephen says 2 stepping into 3. Very good. Who else has been brave enough to say where they are on this? Everyone's just like, I'm a 6, Dave. I'm a 6. What are you on about? No problem. 3.5 for David. Z's a 3. Debbie 1. That's not true, Debbie. That's not true. We've worked with you. You're much bigger and better than that. It's just you do tend to lapse when you just get pissed off with things. Again with a sleep token. Will you two just directly get each other's numbers and stay off the main line? Goodness me. Ricky says 2 to 3. Good to see Ricky as well. Anybody else want to be brave enough to put the opposition? And Lily says she's driving, positioning, and refining. So it's across all of them. Here's the thing. Wherever your numbers are, 2 to 3, that's about right. Hope's saying that. Salim's saying that as well. The most important thing about this is not where your number is, it's the fact you now know where your number is. So therefore, you've got a starting point for raising your game and getting to that point. You don't have to get to the holy grail of being a number 6, but you do have to do something because there's no accident that the actual diagram is like raising you up and above the water level. And I did this long before AI came along. I started doing this during the pandemic when I had to help people to become famous in what they did as an industry icon, coach, and mentor. You really do need to start running with this and take risks. My signature message is jump and grow wings on the way down. Anybody who knows me knows that's what I talk about, not by accident. It's because I really feel that and it's like, for instance, when I sent out to everybody a link to join us today, I got loads of people saying, oh, by the way, Dave, um, I can't make it today. I'm really sorry. Well, don't apologize to me. You're missing out on your opportunity to do stuff. Okay, a couple of people want to say some stuff. Salim, you are next. Go ahead. We've got Salim. Oh, we've got Debbie next. Okay. Salim, you go first because I'll let you. And then Debbie and then Lily. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey guys, how's it going? And hey Dave. So yeah, I want to ask, I mean, is this offer or is this community open for collaborations and partnerships? Because like like the unicorns universe or arts community, something like that.
This community is open for it, but only in the membership. I'm not going to support anybody doing stuff outside of that because I can't know who the people are. I can't vet who the people are. I can't support them on their journey, and also I can't give them blueprints that makes the whole thing work really well. Inside the rooms that we have in the community, in the membership, we actually have rooms for joint ventures and making deals and bringing in people who can finance what you're doing. And I want it to be done the right way. I had a conversation today earlier with somebody who sent me a message about another member of the group of the living room saying, I'm not sure who they are. Looked at their LinkedIn, looked a little bit dodgy. I can't control the people who are in there, but I know that I have a relationship with everybody who becomes a member. That's why I'm limiting the numbers so that I can vouch for them. So that's what I'd suggest, Salim. The people that are in that group, and there's quite a few that haven't joined us today, unfortunately, people like Julian Treasure. So if you're talking about wanting to become a speaker, David introduced me to Julian Treasure and his incredible podcast. That's David's incredible podcast, which we're on yesterday. Julian Treasure's got 46 million views of a TED Talk. All in all, 150 million views of all his TED Talks. You think this guy can't tell you about public speaking? Or he can't tell you about how to really raise your game and do an impactful TED Talk? This guy's a genius. So, and about how to get over all sorts of nerves and carry your voice. That's what his podcast's about. So, everybody who's in our group is an expert at what they do. And if you want to raise your game and be seen as an expert and you're not quite sure what to do, the whole point is you look around at the people that you're with. They say, Tony Robbins says that the 7 people closest to you, you will be a success. That's an average of them throughout your entire life. So make sure you're always with people that are better than you so you can learn from them. If it's not that, then people leech off you and you end up being dragged down. And there's a phrase that Aziz and I investigated, which I'll share with you. You know the phrase, blood is thicker than water? Does anybody know the real phrase of this? Debbie's smiling because we had this conversation before. The actual people say blood is thicker than water, and they use it as a way to tell you to do good things for your family, even if your family's a psychopath who's just come out of prison. You've been told, look after them because the blood is thicker than water. The actual truth of the phrase, which goes back hundreds of years, is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. That means the blood of the community that you create like this is thicker than the people you're thrown in who are part of your genetics but might not have anything to do with you. That's why this is so important. So then, does that answer your question, or have you gone? Is it still here? It's waving. Okay. Okay, well, thank you. It did answer your question. Debbie, over to you. Debs. Hiya. It's Lily's giving
Hello.
the thumbs up.
Just a quick one. How does this differ from the last group? As in, what's your vision moving forward? Which is what
Okay, so you were one of our founder members of the Game Changers. The Game Changers we put together straight after the pandemic. And the reason we put together is we wanted to have a community that was ready to raise their game and start making an impact. And everybody we had in that group was really, really good at what they did. But I don't think that the quality of the positioning where they were was ready to be a thought leader. Everybody was stepping away from the people around them in the office and saying, I have to be seen as better than I am right now. What the difference is we've run out of time. We don't have time to stick your foot in the water and see if it makes a splash. AI is making a huge difference. Our leaders, in my opinion, aren't leaders anymore. I think our leaders have got their own agendas of what they're doing. And that right now, the middle class is getting smaller around the world. The richer are getting richer, and the poorer, if they don't step up and find a way of getting revenue streams, will be left behind. And that's not me making it up. Every 80 years, there is a change in the wind. And every 80 years, there's a leader that drops out. So 80 years ago was the end of the Second World War. Right now, we're seeing a change in the world. And it happens every 80 years. It happened to Britain's empire, Roman Empire, everything. The rich get richer. There's about 6 different factors that happen, and we're seeing it happening right now. So the difference between this group and the previous one that we ran before is I think that AI makes a huge difference. I think that now with AI, people don't have to do it on their own. But those who were in the last group, for instance, one of the gentlemen that's with us, you remember Aditya now speaks on stages all around the world. Seriously, when he
he's
first joined the
brilliant
group,
though. He's brilliant.
but he never used to. He never wanted to, but he continued that journey. This is not about being able to just say, this is me. This is about getting you to the finishing line and staying there. And I don't know what's going to happen with AI. I don't know what's going to happen with industry or ability to earn, but I do know that right now you need to raise your game if you want to be able to survive whatever's coming next.
I mean, I have
Does that-
no doubt that you and Aziza are always ahead of the game with all of this. I just wanted you to clarify.
Okay, thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate that, Debbie. Do you remember when the Game Changers, when we first started with Game Changers, within 1 week of OpenAI releasing ChatGPT being released by OpenAI, we were demonstrating it to the Game Changers before the rest of the world even knew it existed.
You were ahead of the game on so many things, Dave. It was shocking. You and Aziza would come out with all of these things, and we're in the group like, what? Never heard of that. So no, yeah, I remember.
Thank you. So there you go. You've answered your own question. Lily, how are you? You're on mute. You just muted yourself. So unless you got subtitles, it's not good. There you go. Right. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Um,
Fantastic.
yes, what you said about blood being thicker than water. There's another thing is we don't choose our relatives because we it's not a choice. But then we do choose our friends and the people that we are connected with. And I'm glad to be here. Talking about your point number 6, which is owning. I do own my craft, but then when you asked, it's about driving, positioning, and refining. This is where I'm looking forward to yours and Aziza's mentorship.
So you're talking about the fact that you are number 6 on your owning.
What I mean is, I own what I do, but what I mean to say is, for me to drive it forward in the AI world, which I call artificial invention, sorry, positioning and refining. This is where I look forward to your expertise.
Okay, here's my choice. I'll throw you a question, and I love you, and it's meant with the best potential
Thank you.
impact. Would people turn around and say, "I want a happiness laughter expert. I'm going to get Lily"?
Yes, they would if they knew me, if I made myself
Stop,
more.
stop, stop, stop. If they knew me, they don't know you. That's the point. So where you are
Yes.
on that is between 2 and 3. You've defined your brand. You're starting to find your voice. You're sharing that, connecting with people, and starting to declare goals. But you need to be on a journey where you're amplifying this and you make it so you're appearing in lots of different places on your omni channel, teaching a community and building it around you and having it driven globally. So people will turn around and say, "Where's that happy lady? She was brilliant. Can we get her back again?" Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that. That's the difference. When we declare that we're good at doing something, it's like clapping. Well done. Yeah, clapping yourself. The world you can't survive in an AI tsunami world where you are just looking after yourself. You have to connect because you can't pay yourself. You have to have other people around you paying for your services. Unless you live in a massive farm and you eat potatoes all the time. Does that make sense?
It does. That's why I said yes, and I'm already in your group. Yes.
Absolutely, and you've joined us, which is fantastic. Very exciting inside the think tank. Any other
Thank you.
questions? Because I'm very aware of your time. I don't like to outstay the welcome because after a while people just go, "Oh, he's boring." There you go. Um, so you need to have testimonials to prove who you are and what you do. You need to have a newsletter. You need to have a blog. You need to have video footage. And video footage, like I showed you at the very beginning, when I show video footage of who I am and what I've done, I've collected it over many, many years. AI is starting to do the similar thing. It can do for almost anybody. So you've got to make sure it's with the omni channel. So if one of those pillars drops down that you were using, you can rely on something else and say, "Yeah, but look at what I've done." When I'm speaking at Davos or speaking at Vatican or I'm hosting these big IT events or doing stuff like this, anybody who finds any one of them should be able to find your quality, and there should be like a fishing net that brings them back to your brand to want to work with you after that. I hope that makes sense. I'm said hello to you, Stephen. Great to see you. You're one of the smartest people I've ever met and one of the wisest as well. You've not said anything. You're being very polite. Because probably as soon as you start speaking, people say, "Doesn't Dave sound like he's going?" So is there anything you want to join in and share, Stephen?
I could, if I could just get it to unmute, I always find that I seem to be smarter when I'm quiet because, aren't the people that are leaders, that are experts, they're listening, they're finding out, they're connecting with others, and that's what I admire about you. And I'm really, we both study hypnotherapy, and part of that process is this idea of learning what words mean and how they connect, and I'm just impressed and amazed by all that you've done and your generosity. The other day you came into my group, you shared your time, you shared your presence and your wisdom, and this is something that's rare. The people that are most successful in life, I find that they're the most giving, the most generous, and I'm just in awe. I appreciate you, my friend.
That's very kind of you to share. Thank you so much, Stephen. I really think that's great. I expect that from everybody else in this group. Now, here's the thing, and it's really this is me being serious. You know how the dinosaurs once upon a time, and no, and not, there's no link between dinosaurs and you, Stephen. The dinosaurs once upon a time were ruling the world, and they were just, the most powerful creatures on the planet. But they couldn't adapt to the next stage, and almost every single one of them disappeared. This is the same as people who don't raise their game or step up. There are people who are much, much better at doing what we do than us. Much, much better. But if they don't raise their game, it doesn't matter because they won't be going to the next stage. I met a guy the other day who who was by far the best sportsman at our school. Great at rugby, great at football. He was just a natural talent, but he didn't do anything with it since school, and he peaked at school. So the idea is you keep it going, and just like that diagram that I showed you there, the roadmap, you keep raising your game all the time. And I don't know, there might be a number 7, a number 8, or a number 9 that we haven't considered yet, and I fully expect there to be. But you will only find out when there's an actual progression if you raise your game to get there. Any more questions or any more comments that you've got? Because I'm very aware. Steve wants to say something else now.
Oh, well, what I want to add is I wanted to ask the question because, I am doing the newsletter, I am doing the podcast, I've got a small community, but what I'm finding is it's a lot to do. Do you have any advice on, what is the first step when something seems overwhelming, when you're doing a lot? What's the most important things to focus on in that consistency and how to manage multiple things like that?
Well, I'm going to answer this, but I'm also going to throw it at Richard because he's the data guy. He knows more than anybody about what data to look at and so on. So I'm going to give you the kind of like the Simpsons version of what the answer should be, which is you've got to suck it and see. You've got to try and you've got to kiss a lot of frogs to see what works. What is giving you the best feedback? What does your audience really enjoy? What's working? So you just go, I can't drop that, and you do it and you increase more of that. Add new stuff to it. What might be missing if you're not monetizing a newsletter and your podcast and all the rest, maybe what you need to do is get some more big names on and cross-pollinate, or do some promotions and a list spill. So you share with them, they share with you, and your numbers grow exponentially. Maybe you need to make sure that what you share out there is a very clear message that can be shared in an elevator, and people would know exactly who you are, what you do. I mean, do you have an elevator pitch right now that you share?
Oops. So it's not perfectly polished, but in effect, I'm a thought leader in the area of personal development. I've got the Global Summit Events community, and the whole concept behind this is to help people find their message, find their voice, and to realize that we don't have to be perfect to start, that we can start and then become better. And that's really all it is.
I love that, but I don't. Let me show you where. Because you're not telling me what I get out of a relationship with you. You're telling me what you do. So if you're right, it needs polishing. It needs to be that when you tell me in an elevator what you do and who you work with and what the benefits are, I can go yes or no instantly about working with me. But it's simple enough that if I get your business card or we do a WhatsApp swap, I can say, I know somebody who needs to talk to you. If people have to think about your message and what it is that you're offering, then they won't bother. People, when they're scrolling through TikTok or whatever it is, their attention span is less than a second. If it's not so obvious, it's difficult. And at the age that we are, most of the people in the group are that age, not everybody, so I don't mean to offend anybody. I know David's very equal, bless him. We find it harder to be able to position, and Aziza, sorry, I've got to say that's my wife. Not completely true, but I'll pretend. So we find it really hard to be able to find the way to raise our game with new technology. But the beautiful thing about thought leadership is if we can do the technology well enough to not be crap at it, we've got a wealth of expertise that positions us in real time. So for you, Stephen, I think that your expertise is really about your ability to run clinics, live clinics. Ask me anything. People can ask you those questions, you can record them, you can turn into snippets and set yourself as the wise Yoda expert on your subjects. That might be the route to market that people turn around and say, oh yeah, so you've got to get Stephen in here. He's fantastic. Maybe you're doing too many things for too many people, and you narrow it right down to I do this really, really well, and let other people take the other bits. That's just a thought. I haven't. We've only had this conversation live in front of everybody now, so I don't know enough about your material. Does that resonate?
And it resonates completely, and thank you so much. There's real value in that. So yes, I'll focus in and focus on that. So perfect.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. This is what I'm talking about, and I know Joanne uses this anyway. So I'll share this with you, and I know that we're short on time. I'm going to let you all go in a few moments. We'll just put this all to bed in a moment. So what we're talking about here, and it could be the Ikigai. And we discussed this yesterday with David and one of his incredible guests, who's going to be who's just joined our community actually, which is fantastic. Three circles can be four circles in the Ikigai, but three circles is what are you brilliant at doing, what are you passionate about, and what drives your economic engine. What will people pay for? So if this is the first time you come across this, let me share with you exactly what this defines. What are you brilliant at doing so you could turn around and say, I'm feasibly one of the best in the world at this discipline? What am I passionate about so I could do it forever and never get bored 24/7? It's like breathing to me. I love it so much. And what's your economic engine? What do people want to pay for? Not what do people need? I had this conversation yesterday. Not what people need, because they might need it but not want to pay for it. People need Google Maps. It's free. Why would I pay for it? That's why we do an advertising business model to let the advertisers, which is finite, pay higher to get to all the people. If you take, for instance, somebody I love football, but I'm rubbish at it. So, especially I'm rubbish at walking now, need to lose some weight. But so I'm passionate about football. I know it makes lots of money, but I'm not very good at it. Not for the last 50 years. You might be in the stock exchange market or in fintech, and you're brilliant at doing it, and it makes loads of money, but you're not passionate and you burn out and you hate it and you're rich but bored. And equally so, you might be the best in the world at making paper planes, but and you're passionate about it, but nobody wants to buy your blooming paper planes. So you've got to get all three, the winners in the center, and that's what you aim towards. I hope that explains it for anybody who wasn't sure where I was going with that. Mark Jarrett, over to you, sir.
That 80 minutes just flew by, and you are a master of your craft, Dave, and thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm just curious. I went on a retreat last year, and one of the exercises on there was we should write our own eulogy. Sorry, and it seemed a bit counterintuitive, and I did some research, and Warren Buffett said several years ago that we should all write our own eulogies and then live up to it. Have you written yours?
I haven't written Jack. I haven't even written what I'm doing tomorrow, to be honest with you. But you know why? Because I've got an Aziza who does all that for me. I'm just a
Oh,
puppet in her life. She'll tell me exactly what I'm up to, what I'm doing, and stuff like that. But here's the thing that's really interesting: was a guy called, is it Tim Matheson? It's a really funny, red-headed comedian from Australia. I've got his surname wrong. Genius guy, brilliant. Look him up because he's fantastic. He talks about he does this presentation to a university where he talks about the 9 things you should do. And one of the things he says is don't set massive goals. Don't set massive goals because it's like going on a journey. You're missing all the scenery on the way there. Set smaller goals that you can enjoy and celebrate. Otherwise, if you don't get to the end goal, you're going to think you're a failure. So jump from goals to goals to goals to goals and enjoy the journey. And one day when they stop, you've not missed out on anything.
but you've
And
got to
I
have
really,
some goals because a person going nowhere usually gets there.
completely. But what I'm saying is, I mean, vision boards are great, and using hypnosis to set stuff and visualization. They're all great techniques. But I think it's important to enjoy your journey too. And there's nothing wrong with
Absolutely.
eulogy. Do all your other stuff. Do whatever floats your boat. But I think that's one of the things that people, and it's just on this point. And I know Aziz is going, Dave, shut up, stop talking, and I've got to walk the dog, which is downstairs. So we've talked before at length about happiness. And I know Lily's the expert on happiness in the group. So happiness is all about the idea that you are able to judge what you do and raise your happiness levels, blah, blah, blah. And some countries say, we're the happiest country in the world. Okay, well, why are you so boring then? Not going to say to
Finland.
anybody, but it's often. I didn't say that. I've been to Finland. It's true. Okay, so anyway, these people turn around and say we have a happiness index, and countries and companies say we're the happiest business in town, and everybody loves us. We've done all the metrics. But what happens with happiness is when you're happy, often you don't realize that you're happy. And often the only way you can read life is backwards. You look back at the happiest times you've had and you succeeded for a massive challenge, which was testing you and seeing how good you were. And when you come out at the other side, you're exhausted and you look back and you go, oh my goodness, that was amazing. I can't believe I didn't appreciate it because I was in it at the time. And so happiness has to be something. In fact, I've got a diagram here that I think I can share with this to explain this a little bit more. Dave, you've got lots of diagrams. Yes, I know. I get bored. So here's the thing. People talk about happiness, and in order to feel happiness, you've got to have sadness and anger to be able to balance it. It's a yin and a yang. It's like a waveform. But I think the thing to look for in your life is to be contented. All the way through your life, be contented, because it's a default position when you're sad or angry. It's a lot to say to flip to being happy. Why don't you just go, you know what, I'll just be contented? And if you're happy, it doesn't last forever, because if it does last forever, you won't know you're happy anymore because you've got no comparisons for it.
Mm.
But contented is an easy one to play with. So let me give an example about why it's so important to have that. So when you're talking about something like contented, if you're watching TV, or even when you're watching a group like this and you see people talk about their stories and how well they're doing, how much money they made, and all the rest of that stuff, you can look at it and go, oh, goodness me, if only I was like them, I'd be happy. And you go, if only I was like them. But everyone's born differently. We're all different colors, backgrounds, gender preferences, religions, politics. Everyone's got their unique DNA. So if you're watching TV and you got somebody who's on a yacht with Beyonce and all the Grammy winners and they're partying and dancing, and you go, gosh, I'd love to be there. That looks like an amazing place. You're in the Bahamas. And you say, I can't do that, and I'm just feeling upset now. But what I'll do is I'll go in the kitchen, make myself a cup of tea. I'll make myself a cheese sandwich. I'm gonna make it a toasty. I'm gonna have a biscuit. And you're going to sit down. I'm not going to watch Beyonce anymore. I'm going to flip over and go Netflix. Oh, Slow Horses, best telly program ever. And you watch a show that you like. You're drinking your tea. You're eating your biscuits, and you go, you know what? Life's all right. I'm content. If you use that as your template to reset good times and the bad times, and you never go below contented for more than a few seconds, then all the way through your life, you've had a good life. And most people don't know that. Most people think it's about chasing the big money and all the big dreams and everyone's going to love me, all the rest of it. You can be cancelled like that in entertainment. I was watching a video the other day. It was all these famous stars. Do you remember these guys from the 80s? No, I don't. So having a good life for you every single day, I think, is the secret. Nobody tells you because most people don't know. Sorry, it's a bit of a rant there, Mark. You started it.
Are you the happiest you've ever been?
I am, because I'm talking to you, and Richard's got to go, and my wife's going to tell me off. But seeing you in the flesh makes me hot, to be honest. So I'm going to stop the group there. We've got links for everybody in there. We're going to drop it. If you're not part of our LinkedIn WhatsApp group, then make sure you are in there, and our LinkedIn group as well. We'll give you details about the membership. It's $97 to join every month, and that's fixed for life. And we're going to get you across the finishing line, but you have to make the effort yourself. If you don't make the effort and do it with the community, then I can't be responsible, but I will do the very best I can to get you to where you need to be collectively. Thank you so much for being in this group. It's been utterly a pleasure to have you here. Most people have stayed all the way through. We should do a group photo, but lots of people have got bots in there, I suppose. Or somebody's going to say, Dave, can you take me off a picture? Just tip exit, whatever tip exit is. Nobody remembers that. So I'm going to thank you all for being here. And what I'd love you to do, I really appreciate it, is in the living room, rant about what this experience was for the people who didn't turn up, because it might seem like you're blowing, my own trumpet, which kind of you are, but I want everybody to get ahead of this tsunami. And some people decided to watch telly or decided just to chat to their friends, and I'm not going to go on. I think it's really dangerous to not raise your game. Ricky, always a pleasure, sir. Great to see you. Um, if you can, in fact, it'd be really cool if you want to. It's optional. Take a shot of your screen and put it as a LinkedIn post, and say you're raising a game and becoming a thought leader. Then that'd be really useful. And tag as many people as you can. We'll all tag each other, and we'll be like one happy family with different mums and dads. So with that being said, thank you guys. Really appreciate it. We will put the replay onto YouTube for you. And be vocal, raise your game. We don't have all the time that's left, but we can do more with it. And that's what this is about. Jump and grow wings on the way down. One last group photo. Everybody is going to put their camera on. Put your camera on if you can, even only for a second. Mayor, you're there all the time. It's hiding. Ricky, who's in space, good for you. Joining the Avengers. Joanne there as well, going sideways, giving me vertigo. And Sally's Fathom note taker, smacking the heart. Can I hide that? Stop video. It's gone. Sorry, Sally. All right, let's take a group photo. Everybody smile. There we go. Aziza, could you take the photo as well? Because I think I might press the wrong button, and I think I've turned on Facebook or something. Okay, everyone got a photo, group photo? Everyone smiling? Fantastic. Love you to bits. Jeff. Oh yeah, Jeff's on his holidays. Thanks. Good to see you there. I can't tell you about Jeff because he's hiding from Interpol. But he's a very dear friend of mine, and it's a pleasure to have him here as well. We will do this again inside the membership. We're going to be doing these masterclasses every week to raise your game and get to where you need to be. And it's a pleasure having you here. Without you, there is no point in doing it. So thank you once again. Talk to you soon. Sorry, Ziza, you going to say something?
No, it's not every week.
Okay, there is a actual page which has all the details. I'll publish it in the group and when we're doing masterclasses. But this is the only public one we're going to do. All the rest are going to be behind closed doors for all the members. Is that right, Aziza? Good. Fantastic. So have a great evening or afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you so much for your time. Make sure you let everybody know what they're missing and love you bit to bits. And thank you for showing up. That's the battle almost won. Goodbye.